Greetings. This is Arvette McLean of Speak, The Universe Listens. As a very young person, I always felt that I carried the weight of the world on my shoulders, having to make grown-up decisions in order to survive a life marked with physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. While my face was smiling on the outside, on the inside, I always secretly cried and felt miserable. However, over the years, I learned some gems that helped to turn my life around. I now get to live the life of my dreams, filled with love, travel, and wonderment. And I am absolutely passionate about sharing what I have learned with you. If you want to live your best life, tune in each week as I, along with some amazing guests, share these life-changing gems with you. Inspired to be more, do more, have more. Greetings, this is Arvette, and we are back today with Debbie Ayers on today's episode of Questions, Part 3. And Debbie, actually, one of my best friends, is the question queen. And so I thought it would be a great idea to have her come on the show, ask questions, and hopefully through the questions that she's asking, that it will help to clarify any questions that you all might have too. So, Debbie.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Let's see, what questions do you have for us today?
Okay, today, what I'd like to ask about, to have you elucidate a little bit more for me, is about intuition and listening to our intuition. I always have to pose the things to you. Well, they trip me up. So, what my question to you is, like, what do you do? My intuition tells me very, very clearly when something bad is going to happen. And I don't know what to do with that. Like, how to respond to that. And normally I sit with it. But how do you handle that? Or
So, if you sit with it, what happens?
I try to come to grips with some sort of acceptance, because it is so clear. It is so clear, and usually it is along with the thought, there's nothing you can do about it. There's, my desire, my inclination is, how can I manipulate the situation in some way? But I'm usually not clear enough to know, and that second thought follows. This is going to happen. And I usually take it as, prepare yourself. Just prepare.
Well, that's really interesting. I have never had intuition speak to me in that way before. And I think in the teachings that I'm aware of, they would not indicate that intuition would do that. Because there is nothing that's already for sure. Like, everything is still, in any moment, anything could change. So things can be set in motion. Like, it looks like it's a high probability that this thing is about to happen, but anything could change to take that right off a gear. So for your intuition to say that this is going to happen and there is nothing you can do about it, I don't know. I couldn't address that appropriately. I think typically, a lot of times when people talk about intuition, it makes me cringe a little bit, because a lot of people don't know the difference between their own, their voice and then their higher guidance voice. And people think that they're listening to their higher guidance when really it's themselves that's thinking this and telling them this. So a lot of times when people say, I follow your gut, yes, like I follow my gut in a sense because I've learned the difference between what limited art vet is likely to put out there and my expanded version of myself. And so because I know the difference, because I practice hearing hearing the different voices enough where I know which one is me and which one is that, which one is the expanded version that's connected to this, that knows what's going on. I get it when people say follow your gut, but I think at the same time, a lot of us are following the patterns of behaviors that we're used to, and based on those patterns, we're creating a situation and then following from that situation that we created. But we always have the option of creating a different situation.
I'm very clear on that. I know that when I've gotten these feelings or this knowledge, for me it's an absolute knowing. My automatic reaction is it's almost a frenzy. Like, no, this, no. And I run through the list of things that I could do differently to alter this thing. And and there's this and I don't know if that's my own self-limitations at that point, but I have acted in frenzied fashion after having heard this is about to happen.
And so because I have this experience in my life, like if somebody else was telling me this, I'd be like, for real? But this is something that happens in my life, right? So if there's a big storm or tornado or hurricane, something that has the potential to do down trees and power lines and rip roofs off houses, flip car, those types of things, my mother will start with each one of her kids and put a protective bubble around them and then spread it from their house to as far as she has time to do. Let me just tell you, we're always scared. We might lose a little power. So one day, I know you're from Richmond, you know the Richmond area, but let's just say some people probably don't, but let's just put it this way. I was on my way to school, and I was maybe like 3 blocks, a quarter mile from my school. And I had heard the thing on the radio saying, take cover now. Tornado in the area. Seek shelter immediately. But I was like, I'm almost at school. So I continued on to school. Get to a certain part, and the tornado hits. Boom. And it is crazy. Like, it is crazy. But I'm just in my car, and of course I'm trying to call my husband, but there's no, there's no lines getting out or anything like that. And you just had to be right there, right? Like the rain, it was just like the scariest few moments of my life, right? And eventually it passed, and I drove on to school, and the whole school, like trees were everywhere, water was so high, no power, that type of thing. So I tried calling home, can't call home. So anyway, I make my way back out, and I try to get home. I can't get home because trees are down everywhere. As I get closer to my neighborhood, I can't find any way in. So I'm like trying to go this way, that cannot find any way into my neighborhood, and I have to get out of my car and walk. Get to my street, to my block, not a drop of rain. Not one drop. I go in the house. I'm telling my husband, oh my God, this is, he's like, huh? It was a storm? The whole neighborhood is demolished, except for my block. And she does this. This is what she does. So, and I tell that story to say, I don't believe that it's inevitable. Like, it may look like that's what's going to happen, but we have the power to alter what is inevitable.
Yeah, I'm gonna chew on that one mentally for a while. Okay. I was enjoying the episodes with you and Scott and your discussions, and there was something in there that really struck me, and it was about forgiveness. So I kind of, and Scott with the Course on Miracles, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, that his position was there's never anything to forgive. But my question to that would be, how do you handle the hurt? And I know you, and I think you guys touched on that a bit, and I think the response is you change the way you think about the hurt. But that didn't do it for me.
Right. So I don't really think he was saying per se change how, in a way it is change how you think about the hurt, but it's realizing who you really are. So if you realize who you really are, if you realize you're connected to source, you're part of the source of all that is, and that each and every one of us is too, and there's nothing that can happen that's wrong. Like, everything is right. And so when you look at it from that perspective, like, this is another child of God, or this is another part of source, another extension of source that is here to help me learn something about myself, help in the expansion of the universe, so to speak, because every action, every time we learn something new, every time we're able to, let's say, be more compassionate, or learn how to appreciate at a greater level, those types of things, everything that we do is helping to expand the universe. And so as these people who are hurting us, they are hurting our physical, so to speak. They're hurting who we show up as in the physical. But in the spirit world, they're not. They're like helping to expand the universe. They're helping us to expand ourselves and that type of thing. So it's like, it's kind of the same principle, because a lot of times if people are having difficulty, let's say if you have this meeting to go in to tomorrow, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I know it's just going to be a mess up in there. It's going to get ugly. So you can, in advance, send your energy to those people. And in what you're doing is actually recognizing that there's a part of them that's eternal, just like you, and that you are actually the same. You're one and the same. You're not different. You're the same. And I don't mean the same like similar. I mean, you're the same. And so when you call attention to that, when you tap on their door saying, I'm sending you love, it's like they can feel that tap. And then it causes them to remember too. Like, maybe not consciously, but then they'll remember, we're in this together. And it changes the outcome of the meeting. And so that's kind of the same principle that Scott is talking about. When you remember the truth of who you are, then there really is nothing to forgive.
I'm still at the hurt. I'm still there. So even in conceptualizing that this is something that's taking place in order for growth, in order for growth to happen, and it's always as it should be.
I wouldn't use the word should.
Okay.
That it's always okay.
Okay.
You can't make a mistake.
That there are no mistakes. Does that mean that we necessarily have to go through pain at some point?
I don't think so. And that's the whole thing that I've been saying about the whole idea of struggle. Like, for what? Like, why did we create that? The need to struggle. I don't need it. Like, I can do without it. So I'd rather things just be easy. And so that's how I want to project into my future. Like, this is easy. These things are happening easily. No real effort on my part. Now, I think there is a part of us that likes the whole ideal of challenge and feeling like you're growing and, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I guess if everything was just handed to you on a silver platter, it might be a little boring. So I think there is some.
Deal with that boring.
I think there is some element, but I think we go overboard in terms of like we got to fight for every little thing, every little thing, and I'm just like, for what? Like, for what? I just rather envision it the way I want it to be, hold that in terms of do it lovingly. And I think a lot of times when we are thinking of what we want, or we think we're thinking about what we want, we're really thinking about what we don't want. Mm-hmm. And so we're introducing that vibration, so it's not a clean vibration. So if I'm sitting around thinking, I don't want to be poor, I don't want to be in pain, or I don't want to be alone, and you might be saying the right word of I want to be abundant, but you're thinking about the lack. Mm. So you can't just say the words, you have to feel the feeling. So you have to make sure you're feeling abundant, like you're feeling love and you're feeling energy, and you have to feel the health. It's not just the word. So you're offering that into your vibration. And so I think you were asking about hurt. I haven't settled that as of yet either, in terms of, okay, we get the non-physical part. Okay, but physically I'm hurt. Physically. And most of the times, like, I can even understand the emotional part, like in terms of, thinking about it differently emotionally. Mm-hmm. Because if you change how you're thinking about it, the hurt will dissipate.
Right.
But if you're actually physically hurt, then that, to me, that's a little different. Mm. If someone broke your arm, like, okay, now my arm hurts. Like, I don't hold you I hold you harmless, but my arm still hurts.
Right.
So what?
There's nothing to forgive, but I need a cat.
Right. Even though if you study this or whatever, supposedly if your energy is clear and if you've been able to remove the blocks and stuff, you will also remove the pain. Mm-hmm. And, yeah. But I haven't met those people yet. I don't know them, so I can't pick their brain.
Okay. Let me see. What other questions do I have? This is something we were discussing way back in the day. And the note that I made was, is it just enough to know there are hidden motivations, acknowledge they exist, and accept their influence, and that they may always remain hidden? Put that in some context, right? So I guess the question that I have there is, lean into thy own understanding. There's just so much stuff that, like, I don't understand, and I'm never going to understand. Does it become okay, or at what point it becomes okay to just be like, you know what? just know it's going to be okay. I don't need to understand it, which is a real difficult one for me. like I don't know if I'm ever going to. When do I not need to? I guess, is that something that I have to decide for me?
So, again, see, you guys, Debbie is left-handed. So a lot of times I don't know what she's talking about, so I just have to feel my way around. So I don't know what you asked me. So from my perspective, you don't ever have to understand. Like, I'm not even clear on, like, why do you feel like you have to understand?
Like, I have to visualize, I have to understand in order to effectuate.
Okay, understand what?
I have to understand. Like, I'll run through a whole lot of scenarios. For example, let's say, I love this example. Way back in the day, you and I went to a job fair together. And I turned in a resume, and the lady said, "Oh, you have to be a college graduate in order to get this job." And I said, "Okay." And I asked her another question about the job. And I believe her response was, "You have to be a college graduate to get this job." I walked away. You and I both walked away with entirely different reactions to that situation. And I can remember thinking, "Oh, I don't know what that lady, she might have had a bad day. She ain't had her coffee." Like, I'm coming up with all of these reasons why this scenario took place the way it did. And I get to the point where I say, I really don't know what her issue is. So that's what I mean about, like, I have to understand at some point. I have to satisfy myself, okay, there are 10,000 scenarios that could have been taking place here. These things could have, there are reasons why this just happened the way it did. And, okay, does that make any more sense?
No, because to me what you just said was you have to understand, but that was an example of when you didn't have to understand.
Yeah, I'm never going to get the answer from that lady. Why are you behaving in such a way that you're behaving? So I have to come to a point of, I'm not really going to know.
Right. So that's how we opened, is you said, why or when do you not have to understand? Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, why do you ever have to understand? And because that situation, the way you responded to it, that is the better way to respond versus how I responded to it. Was like, no, she's a racist, and she think just because you are you that you don't have a college degree, and so I'm all in a tizzy, and you just happy-go-lucky. Well, whose vibration do I want to match up more of what I was experiencing? Do I want to match up, bring more situations where people are ignoring me or not giving me a chance or the time of day because they perceive me to not be a college graduate? Or do I want more situations where I'm walking away just as happy as a lark and later for you, but let me go find a job that is perfect for me? So the way you handle that, the way you conceptualize it, is the way I would suggest to conceptualize any situation, because you don't know. And even if she could have told you the reason why, that still might not have been the reason why, because she could tell you a story or whatever. So basically, we're making up other people's motivations all the time anyway. We just made it up. I made up that story. I don't know why that lady did. I just made it up. And I chose to make up a story that made me feel bad. So why do that? Why choose a story that makes you feel bad? If you're going to make it up anyway, just make up one that makes you feel great. Make up one where you're the hero in the story, because your whole thing that you want to do is feel good at all costs, at any cost. You want to feel good. You want to vibrate at your highest possible frequency, because that's going to be your point of attraction.
Okay.
So again, thank you so much. Those were terrific questions, as I knew you would have the best questions. And I think we should make sure you come like quarterly and ask as many questions as possible. So I need that. I need the feedback. I need you all to write in, comment, ask questions, because a lot of times I'm not aware of what I've said, that which part of it may not be resonating with you. And perhaps if you ask the question, maybe I'll be able to explain it in a different way, and then perhaps it would then resonate. And if not, then I'll explain it in an even different way until it resonates. But at any rate, you get what I'm saying. Ask questions. You can comment below. And a lot of you already reach out to me and ask questions, which is terrific. I love it. So please keep doing that. And thank you so much, Debbie, for gracing us. So make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast if you haven't. Get your free gift if you haven't at arvetmcclain.com. It's ARVATMCCLAINE.com for your free gift. And we look forward to talking to you again. Until next time. Bye.